Hey everyone, welcome today. Really want to focus today's conversation around how we should be guiding agents through the NAR settlement changes that are going into effect. And to me, there's a right and wrong way to do this. The wrong way to do it is to get up in front of everybody at your team or sales meeting and tell everybody, here's all the changes and here's what you're going to say. And here's the forms, and get up on the screen and show everybody the new forms we all got to fill out. And I think that's probably what most people will do. And unfortunately, I just don't think that's going to be very effective at all. You assume that you have a bunch of straight A students taking detailed notes that are going to use it. And we know very well that's not typically real estate agents. And it's also very old fashioned. It's from like 20 or 30 years ago. And especially if you're teaching millennials and stuff, they're not used to learning that way. That's very old fashioned traditional learning. And at NAR Coaching and Training, we try to stay very progressive with our learning. And I found people learn 3 ways, typically, maybe 4. They learn by listening, they learn by watching, and then they learn kinetically by doing. And this is if you're learning how we're working and what we're saying with buyers and sellers in the listing consultation via trial and error, that can be very costly. Not only might you get sued, you may not get listings and you may not get to represent buyers. So I'd really like us to do the learning in practice sessions, not where we're going to lose potential income. So I don't like kinetics. And I'd say the 4th way is we got to give them the education when they want to receive it. And that's something people aren't used to. People have bad days. They don't listen. They can't make your team meeting. They can't make your sales meeting. They can't make any of that. And if you're a leader out there that's in charge of training the agents in your brokerage or on your team or what have you, here's what we need to be doing instead. Okay. Number 1, the very first thing that we should be doing is we should be shooting videos. And these are videos. It's very open up whatever you use for video conference, your Zoom or Teams or Meet, whatever program you use. I'm going to say Zoom. You open up Zoom and you start explaining your forms by sharing your screen and going over the forms on how to fill them out and why. And you're going to do 1 video for each form, because there are different forms depending on what state you're in, what association of realtors you're in. I'm from the great state of California, so Lord knows we got a ton of forms. You've got transition forms because you got a lot of people, you got a lot of listings that are active right now. There's got to be a form to transition them because they're not grandfathered in. So your active listings, your active buyer representation agreements, all of those need to be transitioned to the new format. So most states have transition forms. Most states have new buyer agency agreement forms, exclusive, non-exclusive, all the different types of agency out there, depending on the state you're from. That's a big one as well. And then, of course, listing forms. So most changes to listing agreements, to other addendums around the listing and buy side, depending on what state you're in. So you need a separate video for each of those forms. Do not shoot one big video for lots of reasons. Okay. Number 1, people just need 1 form and they don't want to watch the entire video and try to wait for your form to come up. Number 2, people have very small attention spans, and that is decreasing more and more every day. Just with the way streaming video works and YouTube and swiping left and swiping right, it is what it is. I'm not really here to gripe about it. They just play the game. And so we need to have short videos to keep people's attention, and they need to be labeled very clearly. Buyer agency agreement, listing agreement, and make it compliant with NAR settlement conditions. Okay? And title them all. And that is the most productive thing we can be doing as agents right now. Why? Holy moly, the amount of time and questions you're going to get for the next many months, if not years, when that agent you haven't seen in 4 months gets their first buyer consult in 2026 or something, and they're not familiar with the changes. Or they just forgot. They went to your classroom setting and they forgot after a week. Or it's a Sunday night and they got to go on a listing appointment. You're going to be getting all those calls. So you need to have these videos shot, and then they need to be, here's the kicker, they need to go one of 2 places, actually. If you are an Eisenhower coaching and training client, hopefully you know how to use our agent management portal, and you can upload those to the agent management portal. and you can steer them all there and they would know where to go because that's where all their online systems are tied together. Okay. And then it's kept secret and private to you. Otherwise, what you're probably going to have to do to make it efficient is upload them all to YouTube. And you're going to need to have a YouTube channel created. And there are settings with privacy where you can just make it available to the people within your organization, or you can make them public. It's no big deal. No one's really dying for that type of viewing anyway. And I really don't think anybody's going to be stealing it. And if any of your competition is stealing it and using it, quite frankly, that is the best marketing you could ever have for your brokerage. So not a big deal there. But we definitely need to get them all up on YouTube. And here's why. When your clients text you or your agents text you and say, hey, I don't know, I'm going on a listing appointment. I don't know how to explain this commission situation. You need to be able to quickly text them back and say, watch this video, and just quickly text them the YouTube links. Okay. We can't be texting big MP4 files of a 5-minute video. Okay. Everybody's got to be connected to Wi-Fi for that. And it's still a pain. Then they got to save that on their phone or something. I don't know. But if we shoot them links and we say this quick step, hey, watch this video. And if you still have a question, text me back. You will find something magic happens. About 95% of the time, that's all that they needed. And they love it because then they can watch it over and over. They can, if they're filling out one of the forms, let's say you texted it about, they can actually stop and go right to that part and type in what you typed in at the speed they want to rewind, fast forward, what have you. So much more convenient. They can watch it whenever they want to and not have to feel like they're bothering you. They can watch on their own time. So right now, that's what we need to be doing. All of our coaches at Eisenhower Coaching and Training, that's what we're working with our agents right now, is making sure they're getting ready for the flood of questions. That's what's coming. A big old flood of questions, confusion, and concern. And we're going to be able to nip 95% of it in the bud. Okay. Now, depending on the state that you're in and the local association and the different forms you have and the different ways the different brokerages even are going to handle this, you're going to get different questions. And here's how you know which videos you need. If you get a question, you should only answer it once. Okay. If you get a question twice, that's on you. Stop griping at your agents. You've been lazy because you should have already shot a video answering that first question. If you get a new video, say, hey, hang on. Let me answer you, but I want to show you it's better than telling. So hop on Zoom with me really fast. And then you show them on a Zoom call as you're recording it. And now you're done. And quite frankly, that's the way you should run your brokerage or your team for the rest of your freaking life. If you're still doing it old school and having people call you and you're answering questions verbally one time, you're going to find you're answering the same questions over and over again. How many times can you explain when and where and how, under what conditions, a deposit can be refunded to a seller or a buyer? Otherwise, you've just had the same conversations for decades and decades as a leader. Stop that. That doesn't scale. That's bad business. You might as well get out a telegraph and telegraph the answers to all your agents. That's so old school, right? Shoot a video. Start building your library with these videos, your training library for your organization, and force yourself to change some bad old habits. Okay? So every time you get a question, it is a video. I'd rather show you than tell you. It's a lot easier. Record it, and then we're done. Okay? Simple as that. You should only answer every question you get once. And now you're building your training library. Okay? Very crucial. Right now, we don't need a lot of questions though, right? We need buyer forms, seller forms, agency forms, transition forms. Typically in most places, you need all of those. And trust me, if you don't have them yet, they're coming. They're going to find you're going to need all of those. In most states, especially the bigger ones with the bigger associations of realtors, they're pumping those out. Okay. We're going to need objection handlers videos. We're going to need talking points, script talking points for all those. And remember, one video for each script, one video for each talking point. This is a lot of work. This should take you for a while. We should be spending maybe an hour or two a day on this, and it'll save you so many hours down the road. And it's going to increase the value of your organization because now you've got this huge training library. If you're real smart, you put it up on YouTube and post it on social media, and all the other agents at the other brokerages and teams are going to see that you know what you're talking about. They're going to learn more from you than their own broker because they missed the stupid class that the old guy was having. And they start to realize you know what you're talking about. You got all kinds of content here to use too. So simple as that, right? So we need to shoot tons of videos, number one. And again, for those of you that have our agent management portal, we can then put that video into our agent management portal, and it'll turn around and create workbooks for you, scripts for you, presentation slides for you. It uses artificial intelligence to actually create entire courses around this for you in about a second. And it hosts your video privately within your organization where they can see it and you can track to make sure everybody's watching the videos, which is awesome. But again, this is not a sales pitch. And that's a couple $100 a month for that type of thing. Now, other things we could be doing right now to make this more fun. You do have team meetings and you do have sales meetings, right? What I'd be doing in there, rather than just you lecturing about all these changes, what I'd be doing in there is I'd be doing role play sessions, live role plays in front of people. That's exciting. That's fun. That mixes it up. We're constantly driving them to where these videos are, driving them to issues. We're doing success stories around it. We're doing contests around it. For example, if you have to call all your active listings or all your buyers that are under your buyer agency agreements to get these switched over, we could be role playing what those calls look like, and do a few active calls. We could even have a call session where everybody's calling all their people and getting them switched over. And that could be part of the sales meeting as well to make everybody comfortable around it. So contests around it, call sessions around it, role play sessions around it. All of those things are great, fun ideas. You could literally track on your team's dashboard who got through all the videos, who's watched all the training, who's got all their agency agreements signed up or re-signed, things like that. We can also start being interactive, like your senior agents that have more experience. They could be taking the newer agents on shadowing appointments. They could shadow as they're switching these over or having buyer consultations for the first time, having listing consultations for the first time under these new rules. Get them to buddy up. They won't ask the top agents because they're so dang intimidating. But if you get involved and make it happen, you are now creating an environment where that stuff is just normal. And you're creating camaraderie and building relationships in your environment. And they're getting live training with a live, real life client, buyer consults and listing consults, or these transition phone calls or Zoom calls. I would record any transition Zoom calls we can too with your client's permission, just for training purposes. You mind if I record this? And if your seller really good or your buyer really well, not a big deal. Okay. Very big. Now, again, if you have the agent management portal, it's going to help you print workbooks and scripts and presentation slides. However, there are two ways you can do it yourself if you aren't one of our clients that I will put out there. Number one, you can just write them out and create scripts that you hand out for each of these situations, create a script book with a table of contents all the way around it if you really want to be fancy. And they also could copy and paste and become presentation slides that you could use in both your videos and your live training sessions or your weekly training sessions with your team. You could have a boot camp week where you have the entire team come in every day from maybe 10:30 to 11:30 or 11 to noon or something. So they're still doing the lead gen in the morning, and then they come in right before lunch, and everybody comes in, and every single day it's an hour of this. Buyers one day, listings the next day, all that, forms. And you could do that all the way through if you want to do a bunch of live sessions. It does bring some camaraderie together after, especially right when it goes into effect. It makes people feel more comfortable being locked in arms with everybody else, seeing top agents having to learn and asking great questions that they didn't even know they needed to ask. And especially after a busy season, after a harvest season, a spring and summer is busy, people starting to have more time, good time to do it. Having the changes go into effect August 17th was actually a smart idea for that. Probably part of the consideration. I do like that. So definitely getting printable scripts, because there's just people that like to have paper. So all of that. Any visuals you have, presentation slides, things like that. about this. Usually your local associations provide those for you, like your local state associations of realtors have different things you can show them that doesn't come from you. This is what it's much more official that way. If you can show them their stuff rather than your own stuff, because right now there is some distrust. They're being told by all their buddies that they don't have to pay real estate agents anymore. And it's nice to have a third party that has some authority that they've heard of uh, as the author of whatever documents or things you're showing them. And then lastly, but it could be the most important, as I've talked to many leaders about this, make sure that all of your agents have a net sheet program. Okay, a program where they can print net sheets. There are a lot of coaches and agents that have not been trained to use net sheets. And I'm going to tell you there's right and wrong in this world, and that's freaking wrong. It's why we have commission lawsuits. It's because people don't have any expectations as to what they're going to have to pay. And there's lots of places we can get net sheets for free, going to First American's app or Chicago Titles or Fidelity Titles app or any of your major Stewart Title, any big title company nationwide has a mobile app, and most regional and local ones do too. It just looks more official. It's a third party neutral closing company. Okay. It just looks like it's much more official, especially if it's the place you're going to, use for your title or escrow. Right. So I like that. I just always liked it that way. That's personal preference. If you want to have your own with your own logo up there, it doesn't change liability or anything like that. I just think it's an easier sell to a client. And that's just personal opinion. I'm not going to hang my hat on that. But I will tell you, we need to be using them now because most of our forms, we're not going to be able to show how much sellers are going to pay a buyer's agent on forms. You're going to see a lot of states don't allow you to do that. A lot of companies aren't going to allow you to do that. But you need to set the expectation if your seller does want to increase the exposure to their home by compensating buyer's agents. We are going to need to show them if we paid buyer's agents X%, Y%, Z%. I'd show them a few different options to establish and make sure they understand that commissions are negotiable and make sure that they are using net sheets so that there is some sort of expectation, because when offers come in asking for different types of commissions and things like that, that they already know, and they haven't spent the money because you've showed them where the money's going to go. Otherwise, they're going to spend all that money before it comes in. They're going to, I'm going to make this much money because I'm only paying this much to my listing agent. And now we're going to have this much because it's going to sell for full price for sure, or way above, like how sellers do. And they're going to spend that money in their mind on, they're going to buy this car and that thing and their new house, and what's left over will go into this new pool or something. And then if you pull that money away, you take their pool away or that car away. So that expectation up front is very important using net sheets. And it just, to me, it just shows their itemized costs. I mean, so they don't freak out when a HUD settlement form comes their way later because you didn't tell them. And boy, just imagine if you're buying something and there's a whole bunch of costs, wouldn't you want to know what they are before you sign things? That's a real logical thing. And I think the lack of net sheets and people training without them just to go in there and close things on the fly is what makes agents look like the traditional meaning of the word salesperson. And unfortunately, it's used car salesman or whatever that is, not to knock them, but you get the lingo. Makes sense? Very important that we are using net sheets in those types of situations. It's absolutely crucial moving forward so that people understand it. So I hope that helps you guys. And then there's videos on how to do net sheets, how to work out net sheets, a bunch of videos around that so they understand it. And that's basically going to be, it's a ton of work right there to get ready for this thing. But once you do it all, it's done. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. After a month of this, we really should be done. And then it's just ongoing with new questions, because you're going to see new questions. You're going to see new forms. We're just starting what I think is going to be 3 to 5 years of transition around this, where there's going to be other lawsuits pop up. There's going to be other things done in the media. There's going to be, just because you try to have a settlement that solves all the problems, but there's no way this is solving all the problems. I could pontificate for hours on changes that are going to need to be made here. And I think we all can, but there's no point in doing that. We just roll with it and we change. And all it does is create a lot of confusion in the marketplace, which does get consumers even more confused, which is further evidences the need for real estate agents. So we've all seen it. We've all heard it. The media doesn't quite understand it. So again, we're the only people that really understand what's happening. And so it's our job to clearly convey that. And it really creates a further need for real estate agents. And that's what we're seeing already. That's the mission. And we got lots of work to do.
Brian, as we're coaching our teams and our brokerages, don't waste this opportunity. Like when there's chaos, that's opportunity for us to show up as the experts, to be the professionals, and we can lead through this in ways that we haven't before. So what a lot of our brokerages are doing now is they're rolling this out with the new buyer consultations, the templates for them to have their seller consultations, their buyer consultations. One of our brokers did a Realtors Got Talent, and they did basically a showcase. So people could sign up to present their new listing scripts, their new buyer scripts, their consultation
Love
scripts,
it.
and they got prizes. And so there's ways that we
That
can
I like.
take the scare out of this and make it into, okay, cool, we're going to top grade our performance. Let's go. I'm excited.
Yeah, there's so many great objection handlers and scripts and talking points, and they all got their own that they're all comfortable with. So let them get up there and show it off and have prizes and stuff. I think that's a fabulous idea. I like that one. I like that one a lot. And a lot of the old scripts and talking points that we've been using are coming out and dusting them off. And okay, we got to start justifying exposure and compensation again and things like that, and just with slight modifications. So you're going to have a lot of pros or seasoned agents in your organizations that are going to have some good go-to talking points. And guess what? Agents love to show off how good they are. So get them up in front of people. I love that. I love that. Thank you, Andrea. That's a really good one. Awesome.
As a task I'm doing with a lot of my one-on-one coaching clients is every week they got to come back with a common language that they're hearing out with the consumers for an objection handler. So to take that out of your mind space as a leader, thinking, oh man, what are they going to say? What are they going to say? Ask your agents what they're hearing. Like if there's something common that you guys are all hearing, we'll get an objection handler like that. We'll get it figured out together. And that way you don't have to have all the answers all the time, basically using your agents to come bring the ideas to you, then we'll solve them together as a team. That's how we should be working anyway.
And just remember to record these things. And I love it.
Yeah.
Just make sure to
Yeah.
record everything. That's fabulous. I love that. That's our senior head coach, Brad Baldwin. And then you've got Andrea Sheridan, another coach that has also been all things NAR, president of her state association. These are people that know what they're talking about. They're the reason I look like I know what I'm talking about half the time. So good weighing in there. I really like it. So I hope that helps everyone. I think that's our process moving forward is let's steer the ship in the right direction. So we'll see you next time.